It's not a good move. What a shitty move that was. There's got to be something behind this. There has got to be something behind this move. Because unless Reddick was literally not... Reddick was just strict on his number, and maybe that could be the case. We don't know what the contract was, or I mean, it looks like Reddick is going to get the deal that he wants. Okay. But I just think you went backwards a little bit. So people could see. There it is. A 26 third round conditional. Okay. Got to play over 67% of the snaps this season. Okay. If he plays over 67.5% of the snaps and he has 10 or more sacks, it's not at 23 third. Wait. Jesus, this is on Howie Roseman when he puts all this. He puts this trade together, and this is what you get. Okay, Eagles are sending edge rusher HaasonReddick to New York Jets for a conditional 26th third round pick. That could be a second. 26 pick becomes a second if Reddick has 67.5% playing time this season and has 10 or more sacks. If not, it's a 23 third. Okay. A 20, you mean a 20? He said he meant a 26 third. That's what he meant. Because that was a typo. He meant to say it's a 26 third. Okay. So the 26 third round conditional that could turn to a second if Reddick plays over 67% of the snaps and has over 10 sacks. 10 or more sacks. If he doesn't get that, it stays as a third and 26. Then a second and 26. So this is the issue I have right now. And this might not be Howie Roseman. This was going on for a long time, okay? This was going on for a long time, and who knows what both sides were going through, what Reddick has wanted, where this whole thing is going, because at this point, guys, like, he must have really sat there with his number. Okay? And yes, we talked about the Fangio scheme. We talked about if Reddick fits that mold, okay, and maybe Fangio was okay with moving on, wants more of a scheme fit on the edge. It might look like a bad deal right now, but could become a good deal later on. You never know what could happen. Okay, we're gonna get to 2026 and say, holy shit, like, look at us, like, we have another second round pick, and look at all these moves that are going on. I mean, I don't know. Right now, it just sucks because you lost a premier edge rusher, and unfortunately, I think this totally just downgraded. This defensive line took a big hit. Not saying it's still bad, but it definitely took a hit on one side. I don't think you're as strong as one side as you were. I mean, you're gonna have Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat on each side. Brandon Graham's rotational. Josh Sweat is back. I mean, you picked Josh Sweat to come back over HaasonReddick. I don't get it. The good news that this move saves us in cap space plus $1 million. It should save over $11 million. A big chunk of money is coming back to the Eagles, so the Eagles will get more cap. But you're not at this point. I don't know if there's a. This could be another move for the draft. I don't know, because now you're making yourself real obvious that you could go in this draft and maybe get an edge rusher, but I think you're making it way too easy now for teams to figure out what you're doing. I don't think Howie let him go that easily. I think I don't know. The Eagles have wanted a second-round pick for Reddick. The Eagles were not going to get it, unfortunately, and this is where they're at. I just don't see. I just don't see them losing Reddick and then like they're just like, we're good. You know, like I can't sit here and just act like Reddick is just gone and they're just gonna sit throughout the draft and they're just not gonna. They're just gonna whatever. You know. It's something went on during this whole entire trade that we're not being told. Either Reddick was just not budging to go down in price, and it was like maybe there was a holdout threat going on. I'm just gonna hold out, and get my deal. HaasonReddick then. How he did it. He was still on contract this year. It's not like he was a free agent. It's not like, he was on contract for the Eagles this year. It could have been all of it. It could have been HaasonReddick just not budging to come back. I mean, it's just, it could have just been him. Trust me. That's the only way I could see it. Howie wouldn't give him up for this much, for a 26th third round conditional for nothing. I mean, it's draft picks for the future. I get it. Like, that's great. I love when he does things like this, but this is not the time to do a move like this. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something behind this whole entire move, like a more of a scheme fit edge outside linebacker type guy, because there's got to be something else on the list right now. The Super Bowl window is open right now. I mean, you need as many guys on that line as possible. You don't want your secondary to struggle off ball the way they are. I'm sorry, I'm just ranting right now, but dude, like, what the fuck, dude? There's gotta be a move behind it. Sorry, let me this here. We got super chat from Kelly Batman. It's a terrible trade for this year. How much cap space do they save? They should be saving over 11 million from this move. And if you want to just see, let's see. Let's just make sure where we're at. All right, so see. Now, this has got to be wrong. This says $1 million. This says 1.3 in cap savings and 20.5 in dead cap. No, that can't be right. That's got to be wrong. Got to be wrong. Because the Jets are taking on his salary this year. The Jets are taking on his 14.5 in salary this year. Okay? I know that's what I read. Mike Garofalo put out a tweet after this. The Jets take on his 14.5. The Eagles are going to eat up his roster bonus, which is $1 million. That's absolutely nothing. So if they're eating up they're taking over his 14.5, I mean, there's got to be a lot of cap coming back. That's the case. So, that's where we're at right now. Damn, that's shitty. That's real shitty, dude. Like, there's got to be something in place right now. There's got to be something in place. Like, Maybe they just didn't see him as a coverage scheme fit. I mean, that's all I can really. That's really all I could say. He's turning 30. Okay, he's turning 30 in September. Okay, they weren't going to pay him that money. Doesn't mean the Eagles couldn't have kept him here, but it probably shows me that HaasonReddick was just not budging out of where he wanted to get paid. This man wanted his money. He's the one that seek permission to go out and find his number of what he's worth out there on the trade market. Okay, he's the one that went out there. So the Jets will take on $14.5 million of HaasonReddick's compensation for 24. The final year of his deal, the Eagles foot the bill on the $1 million roster bonus that was due earlier this month. The hope is the sides work out a new deal soon. I mean, look, it's the fucking New York Jets. I live in New York. These Jet fans get excited over anything. They're in purgatory right now because like they have some they're trying to get some short-term success. They're trying to get a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? They're really relying on Aaron Rodgers to pull through for a whole fucking season with all these moves that they're doing, you know. They don't know how to build a fucking team. They don't know how to stretch out their draft picks. This is just a luxury. This is just a luxury there that they need, obviously, for a few years. And that's it. It's the New York Jets, dude. You know, like I know how they operate. I know how they are. I know how their fans are. They're excited right now. Oh! And then, you know, 12 plays later, they'll fucking be depressed. So it's, I know how they work, dude. The Jets have been down this road before. So, man. So they said the Jets picked up 14. Yeah, they picked up 14.5. Reddick wants his money. He wasn't taking a snap playing under the 15 mil. That's what I take out of this. I don't think it's Howie's fault. It's Reddick's fault. Reddick just was not going to take less. Was not going to play out his year. Was not going to take less on this contract. That sucks. So what do you do now? Like, really? What is the plan now? Greg said last year, CJ, this year's mistake, Reddick. I would wait. I wouldn't say that yet. I mean, it's a bad move, but I need to see what they do because they're gonna have to go get. I mean, you might have to go get a Dallas Turner this year or something. I don't know what you're doing. It's not. I don't even put this on Howie. This is definitely Reddick just like not giving a shit, wanting his money. It has to be because Reddick. If the just think about it. If the trade took this long. And all I was hearing was the Eagles were not budging out of a second round pick, and Reddick wasn't budging out of what he wanted to get paid. It's gotta be because Reddick was just not. He was. Yeah, he's gonna get. I don't know if he's gonna get the deal he wants, but I want to see what Howie does with this. Does this mean like I don't care like getting Justin Simmons or it doesn't fix anything. Doesn't fix anything. Okay. I think what this does is it just weakened one side of your line. I mean, thank God they signed Bryce Huff. I mean, thank God. But, you know, I'm not expecting Bryce Huff to put in HaasonReddick numbers this year. You know, Nolan Smith was supposed to fucking produce last year, and he didn't. Not his fault. He had a couple injuries, and the Eagles didn't really play him that much. You know, blame Sean Desai, blame Nick Sirianni for the game plan, and not telling Sean, like, hey, we need to put Nolan Smith into these games. it makes it harder now. It makes it a lot harder now. I mean, Bryce Huff only played 43% of the snaps for the Jets last season. But he got a double-digit sack season last year. But he hasn't played a full season. He played on a 43, because they rotate their defensive ends, and he ended up getting a big contract on a double-digit sack year. I don't think he's going to put in the same. I think that Bryce Huff's contract is going to look good by at the end of next season. I think that contract is going to be a steal because he'll put in really good production. For right now, he's not putting up those numbers. He might not. Maybe he will. I don't know. But I feel like he's not going to put up those numbers this year. I think he'll be disruptive. I think he'll be a big help this year. So if Nolan Smith had 6 to 10 sacks or was somewhat, they did something with him last year and I felt comfortable getting rid of Reddick, sure, that's fine. But you got Brandon Graham on a rotation, what is he going to do his last year? I mean, I can't expect too much from him. And Josh Sweat's on the last year, so now you lost Reddick. Now you're going to lose Brandon Graham after this year. He's going to retire. You're going to lose Josh Sweat after this year. He's going to retire. So I'm not sugarcoating anything. It was bad, but I want to see what they do here. It's fucking horrible. It's really bad. These are the types of guys you don't get rid of on a Super Bowl year. You don't get rid of guys like this. I just don't think Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat are going to replace what Reddick is doing. If that's the plan, I don't know. I don't know if it's, can you use that? I don't know because the Eagles don't even have a pick right now. The Eagles won't get this pick until after this year. So we're going to be, if HaasonReddick hits over 67% of the snaps and he gets 10 plus sacks this year, it will turn to a second round pick in 26. That's 2 drafts. That's 2 years we have to wait for that pick. But it's a pick they can use, for next year's draft. They can use that pick if they want, whether it's a third or a second. So they know they have that in their back pocket, but it does nothing for us right now. And if Reddick wanted $25+ million and they weren't going to give it to him, now we all know Joe Douglas and Howie Roseman have a really good relationship. They work together. So I know that things never got, I know there was, this was a straight up relaxing trade for both sides and, they got it done. It's insane, dude. It's fucking insane, dude. They said, okay, they save on the cap space, but they lose production on defense. Yeah. It's too late. It's already March 29th. You're going into April. You're in the month of the draft now, and it's how are you supposed to look, the Jets were going after Jadeveon Clowney, and he picked going to the Panthers over the Jets, and he got a lot of money. He got a 1-year, $16 million deal. It was a big deal on a 1 year. Obviously, Jadeveon Clowney was going for all that money, and the Jets were willing to give him whatever he wanted. And apparently he just switched sides and went to the Panthers. So I guess this is the replacement for Jadeveon Clowney for the Jets. And they got themselves a better player out of it. They just got themselves, they've been looking for an edge rusher. They just got themselves a pretty damn good player on that defensive line. Roberts is saying Reddick to a shit team too. What a way to let him go. Who knows what Reddick's mindset is? I don't think that. The Jets defense. I think the Jets defense is good. I think it's going to be a lot better now. Even without this trade, I thought they still would have had a good defense this year. The Jets have a good defense. It's really their offense, their quarterback situation. They're in short-term success right now with Aaron Rodgers. That's it. They're in short-term success. You think those guys, that team is so cursed They're pulling off a Tom Brady type season. That's what they want. Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay. That's what they're trying to pull off with Aaron Rodgers right now. Okay, it's short-term success. That's all it is. It's not long-term. They're spending as much money as they possibly can. They're trying to make as many trades as they possibly can. But I said, why are all these Eagles fans act like Reddick was wholesome? You see what Reddick did in the fourth quarters of these games? Double-digit sacks the last 2 years with the Eagles, and he's done it with 3 teams. You don't let a guy go like that. Look what he did. Like Reddick, not only Reddick was a closer for this team, and yes, how many fourth quarter stops did Reddick have this season that really saved our team? Yes, I think Jalen Hurts had a lot to do with it too. But this defense pulled out a good amount of times this year because of HaasonReddick and the pressure that they give. Yeah, and HaasonReddick is a very streaky player. So like 1 month he'll have 0 sacks, another month he'll have like 6 sacks. So he's very streaky in that area. That's what Reddick did in the fourth quarters of these games. He was our best player. He was our best player on defense last year. Even he hit a wall last year. The whole defensive line hit a wall last year because of the coaching staff. The Mariano Rivera of closers. I believe you, man. I'm not disagreeing. Ryan Yancey says, moving up, Jared Verse or a Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, they brought in Chop Robinson. They brought in Laiatu Latu from UCLA. But they're making it obvious now. Now teams know, like, who they're going to get now. I mean, that's all I could think. I mean, is that the plan now? Go up, sign a guy, not pay him for 5 years? I mean, is that what they're doing? And yes, like, it's a downgrade. Moving up in the draft and getting one of those guys, it might be a downgrade. It might. But you never know. You just never know what could happen. If they get... It's tough, man. Appreciate the super chat, by the way. I don't understand, but if Howie moves 1 step ahead, so I guess time will tell. I mean, that's all I could say. Like, I'm not mad at Reddick. Like, I'm not mad he deserves to get paid. I'm not saying, but in our situation where we are money wise, where we are with our franchise right now, we're not rebuilding. We're not. This is a Super Bowl year for the Eagles. This is we're a big contender going into the season, especially in the NFC. Okay, and to get rid of a player like this player might be the difference between, seriously, this is a player that gets you to an NFC championship. This might be to an NFC championship game, to a Super Bowl. That's how much of a difference that HaasonReddick will make for a team. I mean, that's how valuable he is. Now, how valuable to Vic Fangio, I have no idea, but man, this kind of fucking pisses me off. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not really happy about it. Valdez Jones said, let's talk about if it didn't want to eat it. No, that's why I said earlier. I mean, this I don't think this was Howie Roseman. I think this was all Reddick just wanting to get his money. I mean, you can't be mad at Howie. Look, if a player doesn't want to be here, then he can't be here. If a player wants to be here but wants to get paid and be here, and Howie can't do that right now, and no, I totally agree. I don't want to pay Reddick $25+ million. I honestly don't. Maybe if it was like 2 years ago, maybe. I mean, look, we got Reddick on a really cheap contract. We got him on a hometown discount pretty much when he got here, and it was a steal. And we knew it was going to be a steal. Blast Gun Shop says he's one player. We will be fine. That's what I make a big deal out of, because it's one player, and I understand that. It really depends on what the Eagles really do here. Okay, you're not going to go out and get another double-digit sack defensive end and trade for it. It's not going to happen. Okay, so you're obviously downgrading, but they could get a player that's going to be more beneficial to Vic Fangio in his system. Okay, it's a loss, but they could turn it into a positive depending on what they do. Okay, but I don't know. That's because this happened just now. It's just weird how it happened just so late, and the compensation I don't really love. If the Eagles are getting a 26 third round conditional as of right now, okay, that means they weren't even getting a. I mean, seriously. I mean, they weren't going to get a second rounder. I mean, it was out of the question they were going to get that. And man, but I think the conditional pick is all on Howie's terms. This is Howie Roseman on his terms. I don't think we got. I wouldn't. I don't even call it. I don't even call it fleeced because it's not as if they can't make another move. It's not as if they can't, you know, the production is all I could say that you really can't replace. Okay, watch Reddick go to the Jets and not even get 10 sacks. I mean, I don't even know. You know what I mean? You never know what could happen. We want Reddick to do well with New York because we need that pick. I mean, that's the way it goes right now. Monty, the outrage is kind of crazy. Once they signed Huff, Reddick was gone. That's why it got us a little confused. Like, it wasn't the Bryce Huff signing. It maybe was the Bryce Huff signing, but after they restructured Josh Sweat to come back, Josh Sweat went on his Instagram and said, I will miss you all. He went on his Instagram and said that. And then we figured, okay, well, Reddick's going to stay. Obviously, they want him more than Josh Sweat. They're not paying Josh Sweat after this year anyway. So this is all on Reddick. This is not on Howie. This is HaasonReddick saying, I'm not moving from my number. And who knows what happened? He probably said to Howie, you know, his agent probably said he's just gonna, if you force him to stay on this current deal, he's gonna not play. Maybe not play the whole year, but he'll sit out training camp. Probably, if that's the direction they're going. BMX said, we need another young Thundercat to add to the rest. We practically trade Reddick to the Jets for Huff. I mean, pretty much. You pretty much traded Bryce. You pretty much traded HaasonReddick for Bryce Huff and a 26 third round conditional. That's pretty much what you traded for. Sorry, I didn't mean to miss the super chat. I'm all over the fucking place right now. Brooks for the super chat. Thank you so much, man. It's now time to get Justin Simmons. I mean, I don't think this move. I don't know what Justin Simmons wants. I don't know what his number is. Okay, he has got. I mean, at this point, I don't know what he's trying to get paid. Okay, I don't think it had anything to do with. I don't think it had anything to do with if they're going to pay Devontae Smith or if they're going to use this money. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think they were going to get it done regardless. But yes, like they weren't keeping Reddick at $25+ million. It just wasn't going to happen. Okay. I wish HaasonReddick well. I have nothing against him at all. Good for him. Like no issue at all. Like I have no issue with it at all. Okay. No issue with him getting his money. I have an issue with like, damn, like this happened start of April, which is in a couple of days. Start of April, and this is already happening now. Thanks for the super chat. What's going on, man? Thank you so much. He says Smitty better get paid. Oh no, I'm not worried about Smitty not getting paid. He's gonna get a contract. Everybody's gotta relax. That's gonna happen. Okay. That is 100% going to happen. It might happen before training camp. It might happen during the year. I don't know, but it's definitely we're fine. This is Nick's last chance. It might be. The Huff pickup was a joke. Well, no, I mean, it's not because we needed an edge rusher regardless. They needed to get an edge rusher, whether it was through the draft or whether it was through free agency or, you know, whoever was going to be available. I think they needed an edge rusher. I've been saying it before when the offseason started. I said you know, I feel like they need more on this defensive line, and they got a guy, and that was part of a good rotation with the Jets. 17 million a year for Bryce Huff, coming off a double-digit sack season, only played 43% of the snaps. So I don't think it was a bad. I love Bryce Huff. I like Bryce. He looks like an actual. Bryce Huff is going to be a good player, you know, but I'm talking about where Reddick is in his career, his age. It's just one of those things right now to where I could say, okay, well, you know, like I said, in a year that signing of Bryce Huff for that price is going to be amazing. It's going to be a bargain. It's going to be a bargain. We got Batman Pikachu with Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. It says either Reddick wasn't budging on contract or Howie has something up his sleeve. I think it's both. Honestly. Because, like, there's got to be a plan B to this thing. Like, you lose a guy like this. Is there answer moving up in this draft? To get an edge rusher? Are they looking for Dallas Turner? Jaden Verse? Leatu Latu, Chop Robinson. I mean, gotta be. They brought in the same day. It was a few days ago, last week, when the Reddick news was coming out. Latu was already on a pre-draft visit. Chop Robinson was just on a pre-draft visit. And I hope out of all of these defensive ends, I hope Chop is like the last one that's obviously drafted. But appreciate the shooter, by the way. Yo, Patrick Ferrer, what's going on, man? Do you think they have enough faith in Nolan Smith now, or do they make a move for another edge rusher? I think they make another move, dude. Like, there's nothing that tells me Nolan Smith's going to have a good season this year. The rumor is with Nolan Smith had off-season shoulder surgery, like very light shoulder surgery this offseason. There has been rumors that the Eagles are about to give Nolan Smith, Vic Fangio's about to give Nolan Smith a big workload this offseason. And putting him at outside linebacker. They're going to move him around a little bit. And I think Nolan Smith is going to do well with this defense, but we haven't seen anything yet. That's why, like, if it's like I said, if Nolan Smith played really well last year, it doesn't even like hurt me. I'm just pissed off. I don't even know what I feel really. I just feel like, man, that really sucks. Like, I'm happy for Reddick that he got paid, but damn, like, this made us a lot weaker on the defensive line. Yeah, well, that's the thing, dude. Like, we got rid of Anthony says bad move. Now we look for someone to put up the numbers like Reddick. Well, the thing is, we got rid of Javon Hargrave off an 11 sack season, and we drafted Jalen Carter. And, you know, Jalen Carter didn't put up those numbers, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the biggest weakness that we lost. You know, Chauncey leaving was the biggest weakness to our defense last year, because not only did we lose a hybrid guy, but our safeties, besides Reed, but I mean, that's only saying so much, had no safeties other than Reed. And we had bad coaching, and we had no leader, we had no voice, we had no nothing to our defense. So Jalen Carter comes in. He didn't put up the numbers that Javon Hargrave did, but he was still very productive in disrupting in the backfield, and he had a few sacks for the year. You know? Cutting a player in his prime, getting rid of a player in his prime really sucks. It's a really bad move. And it's not, like I said, I don't put this on Howie. I think this is Reddick just being like, look, Reddick dragged this thing on. Reddick has dragged this situation for fucking weeks. Weeks. So what's going on, man? Appreciate the super chats. The only thing that bothers me is we take an edge first round and miss out on a stud corner, Cooper Wiggins, Cooley. Yeah, I know that's That's why I've been saying this shit. If Reddick is gone, I feel like it changes the whole entire draft. The HaasonReddick move will dictate what the Eagles do in this draft. And I said that a million times. And I think it does. I think it does. What free agent ends are out there right now that you could get? If you want to draft a corner this year, then what are you going to draft that's out there? You know, what do you know what I mean? We don't even know if, you know, we see these cornerbacks, but we don't even know what's going on with Bradbury. We don't even know if, you know, like the only player I can see drafted if Bradbury is here is Cooper DeJean, because he's a hybrid guy that can move all over the place. That's the only player I can see us actually drafting as a cornerback right now with Bradbury in building. Yes. That's where we're at, dude. Wow. Hold on. Sorry. All great with the super chat. What's going on, man? Appreciate the super chat. He says, reeks of trading shady and cutting. Djack says Howie has made some very questionable moves the last 2 off seasons. Thought we were trying to contend. That's. But like I said, dude, this might not be on Howie Roseman. Like, that's why we don't know. We're just taking it as he just gave him up for nothing. But we don't actually know what happened. Why would the Eagles give him up? Like, because Reddick wasn't moving away from his number, and he probably said, I'm going to hold out this offseason if I'm forced to stay with the Eagles. And it just didn't work. It just didn't work. There's got to be this trade has probably been in the works for a couple weeks. It could have been. We don't know how long this trade is. We don't know how long these talks have been going on with the Jets. This could have been going on the last 2 weeks. They were just working out compensation. There's got to be a plan behind it, because there's no way. The only thing I'm not going to accept from Howie is you just literally sit there and not. You're not going to replace you're not going to replace the production. Okay, but you can replace him with a good scheme fit type player. Okay, that at least could put up half of those numbers. Then that's just what we're going to have to deal with. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but unfortunately, you got to suck it up and you got to move on. That's where we're at right now. What's going on, Linda says, I thought the Jadeveon Clowney deal would relax the conversation with the Eagles, but I guess the money changed too far to make it work for both sides. Smart move by Howie. Could be stuck with $95 million dead. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Jadeveon Clowney quieted anything. I think it was just, this was Reddick on his own terms. You know, and that's where I kind of take all of that. We don't know how long this trade has been in the works for with the Jets. We don't know what Howie's been doing outside of this. We don't know what Reddick has asked for. We don't know what Howie was asking for. Rumored wise, Howie wanted a second-round pick for a long time for Reddick, for any team to go trade for him. It wasn't going to happen. So Howie Roseman put up the compensation, said, look, like, we'll get, you know, a third-round conditional if he hits these specific terms. Has got to play over 67% of the snaps. Okay, the 26 third round conditional will turn into his second if he has 10 plus sacks and has played over 67% of the snaps. So we obviously have to make sure that Reddick has a good year next year. Okay, that's what we have to make sure of. But that's 26. Like, it's not like it's 20. I mean, seriously, like, it's not even like it's next year. I mean, something, at least 25. Holy shit. You know, 26. And yes, of course, that draft pick, you know, by next offseason, next draft, next year in 25, they might have that second round pick, and they might have another second round pick they could use and maybe use that pick to trade for somebody. I mean, who knows? But we're trying to win this year. We're trying to win right now. And this is a player you just don't give up. But like I said, this comes down to what were the terms, and I think a part of this whole thing was I don't think HaasonReddick was going to budget from the number you wanted. That's it. Ryan says they were really trying to get younger, very young D-line, especially the oldest guys outside of BG is Milton Williams. Yeah, I mean, it's very young, no doubt. Ryan says Reddick or Sweat was gone right after Huff signed. Sweat wanted to be here, and obviously Reddick did not. And I think that was a big part of it, dude. I think you're 100% correct. I think Reddick didn't want to be here. I think he said he wanted to be here. I don't think he wanted to be here. I think after a while, he was like, I'm moving on. I'm going to move on somewhere else. Get me traded, for a team that wants the money that they want to give me. And that's it. House guy says, I'm very relaxed. Just curious what actually happened. I think a lot has happened, honestly. I think a lot has happened. I don't think there was any dysfunction. I think it was straightforward. Like Reddick just said, I'm just done and I'm not moving away from my number. And that's it. These guys that hit their 30s, that are going to hit their 30s, they want to get those big deals before they retire in a few years. That's just what happens. Daybird says, Latu's a beast. I think he immediately becomes our defensive end. 6'5", 260, this year's best pass rusher. Had 2 interceptions last year, dropping back in coverage. Yeah, he dropped back in coverage, and he had 13 sacks. I think I would get Latu. I would get, like I said, I would get Dallas Turner. I would get Jaden Verse. Jaden Verse is becoming one of my favorites of this draft, and Dallas Turner's a very good, I think a nice hybrid guy that can play outside linebacker, and he could rush the passer, and he could be in coverage and do all that. Chop, we'll see. I don't know. Chop just hasn't really put up big numbers, and a 4-sack season in college, coming off of that, going to the NFL draft, worries me a little bit. I don't want to put too much in the combines for me. I don't want to put too much in these combines. Specifically for some of these players, guys that have not great last years before going to the NFL draft, but, having a monster combine. And I don't want this to be an analytical pick. He had great testing. Let's draft him. No, I'm not into that shit. Not into it. Death Row South to the super chat. Thank you so much, man. I said we don't have a linebacker that can cover tight ends. Vic Fangio needs versatile linebackers. Plus, we need to see what the younger players can do. No, I totally agree with that. And maybe part of the process too, I'm not saying it was the main thing. I think part of the process was we've seen HaasonReddick in coverage, and it's just not his strong suit. It's just not his strong suit. So that's really it. That's really it. That's what I take from it. Part of it is a scheme thing. Part of it is something else. I mean, that's all I can really take out of it right now. Matt Levinson says, I was mad at first, but it was basically Huff and a third for Reddick. Would you rather pay Reddick 25 plus for the next 3 or Smitty for the next 5? Reddick is going to start to decline. Well, dude, the thing is, I didn't want to pay Reddick. That's what you guys think. Like, when I say I wanted Reddick to stay, it doesn't mean I wanted Reddick to stay and I wanted Reddick to get paid $25+ million. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't want to pay him that. So if that is what it was going to take to move on and keep him here, I have no fucking interest. I have no interest at all to keep him in the building if that's what he wanted. See, people think when I say I want Reddick to stay here, it means I want him to stay here and get paid all that money. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But, I think part of it too is like, if he's going to be more in coverage this year, which in this scheme he's going to be, to get paid that much amount of money makes absolutely no sense. In my opinion, it makes no sense. I get it, dude. I 100% get it. And I'm not saying this is right now it's bad. Sometimes you have to talk through it and be like, okay, is it really that bad? Is there some move happening behind this whole thing? I don't know, but yes, you're cutting a production type guy. I had no issue, losing Hargrave was big, but at the same time, you weren't paying Hargrave what, $20 million a year at 30 years old. The Eagles didn't do it then. We're turning into the Joe Banner days a little bit, because Joe Banner never signed a guy at 30 years old, and he never extended guys at that age. He always got rid of guys before they hit that number. Depending on position, most of the time you never sign guys like that. So I get it. I totally get it. 2-0 Blaze, what's going on? Appreciate super chat, man. He says, Nwacha's trade up for Dallas Turner now if he falls. Literally the perfect 3-4 fit for us. He would dominate. Yeah. When it comes to scheme fit, I think Dallas Turner is the best fit for this defense. 1,000,000%. Okay? And could be a top target for the Eagles. But I think the Eagles would really they would have to make I don't know, because he might be going top 13, top 12. I mean, I don't see him coming out of 15. Could be wrong. Maybe could be wrong. Don't know. But I don't see him coming out of that at all. Another move in the works, though? Maybe. I don't think they go in the. I don't think. I mean, who's out there still right now? I mean, I don't think it's even. Is it even worth at this point going in free agency and getting somebody like what Yannick Ngakoue is almost the same age as Reddick? I mean, at this point, like, does it make any sense? Or are they looking for? They're looking for a hybrid type guy. They're looking for more of an athletic hybrid type guy that's less of a rusher, that's more of a nice balance with coverage and rushing. And I'm sorry, but Reddick could have been in the system, and that they probably looked at it as, $25+ million for a guy that's going to be mostly in coverage and barely going to go after the quarterback. It's probably not going to not going to do it up. So. Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. I'm not looking for straight line speed, bro. That's the thing. Some guys get way too. Yeah, the combine is exciting, but I'm not looking for straight line speed, bro. It comes to a lot of other things besides straight line speed. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I don't care. Keely Ringo runs a 4.3, but is he a starting cornerback? No, he's not. I mean, it means absolutely nothing, because straight line speed is just one part of. Barely cornerbacks even go straight line speed. Okay. that's where we're at right now. All right, Mike says Huff was not in the trade. Stop with the BS, everyone, please. CT with the super chat, thank you so much, man. He says this is the worst losing Jimmy Butler. I'm hurt. I gotta see what they do. There's gotta be a plan. I'm thinking Reddick didn't budge, and the Eagles want to go after somebody else that's going to be more of a scheme fit. I don't really put this on Howie Roseman. Like, Howie had no choice. Like, if a player doesn't want to be here, the player is not a player. I'd rather pay because I'm sorry, but I'd rather pay Devontae Smith $25+ million. You know what I mean? I'm not into paying Reddick that much money. If that was going to be the case and that's what he wanted, you got to get rid of him. It sucks. I didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, we're already going in April. I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen at all. Now it's like, Joey, time to sign Justin Simmons, move up and take Latu. It might be. It might be. Iron says Reddick would have been in coverage half the year in Fangio's defense, and I think that's part of it. I think that's a huge part of it. I've asked this question a million times, everybody, for weeks. Like, is he worth all that money? If they end up re-signing him, or at least I at least wanted them to restructure him this year and just say, yeah, just restructure him, give him a lot of guaranteed money up front, let him get a big payday in his last year of his deal, and let him just play out the year, and that's it. Get that big big chunk of cap space coming your way, and that's it. Right, it says if Vic Fangio couldn't fit Hassan in the scheme, he's a horrible coach. There's players, but that's what I'm saying. That you want to get the right players for your scheme, and if he didn't fit, then he didn't fit. You're not trying. You don't force the one thing you don't do is, if you know football, you don't force a player to play in a scheme that you know he's not going to be successful at. You don't force guys into you. And I understand, like, it's just one of those things where, yes, if you have a roster that you have to take over and you're changing or implementing the whole entire scheme, the problem I have is that you should try to work what's best for the roster that you have. But that's not the case here. Okay, it's very different. I can only tell you that they got rid of Reddick because Reddick wasn't budging, and that's all I can say. So if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at him. Be happy for him he got paid, but be mad that he said, you know what? I just wanted more money and I wasn't budging out of that number, and that was it. I don't think this was that bad, and that we now opened up more money to get Simmons, and then we could still draft the top defensive end. Maybe. I mean, you have to go edge rusher in the first round, right? I mean, I guess. Jesus, man. Right, so Justin Simmons, 31 years old. We just ain't paying Reddick because of age. Well, number one, Justin Simmons isn't the safety market is not at $25 million for safeties. That's number one. Okay, that's number one. Okay, number two, you could play as a safety in your 30s. Okay, and that's perfectly fine. Number three, Justin Simmons he's going to get a 1-year deal from the Eagles. If he even signs anywhere, I think it's only going to be a 1-year deal. I don't think he's going to get a multi-year contract. That's the difference. That's completely different. Completely different. And Simmons is 30. I don't think he's 31. I think he's 30 right now. And that's adding a veteran like Justin Simmons that's playing at an all-pro level right now at a way cheaper price. He might even get less than $14 million. It's going to be a low deal. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But the market price is what, 17 a year? I think that was almost the same as last year when Jesse Bates signed with the Falcons. Almost the same thing. The market hasn't really moved higher than that, and it's been a lot lower. The safety market just it plummeted after Jesse Bates signed last year with the Falcons. And I really haven't seen another safety besides Xavier McKinney really get most of the money that he got. Matt, I wasn't saying you want Joey Shakes. I hear you. I'm just saying that it eases your mind when you look at it. Like, no, I get the business side to it. And if Reddick was a scumbag and said, I'm not a scumbag, but you know what I mean. If Reddick sat there and said, I want 25 plus million, I'm not moving. All right, 23 million. I'm not moving from $23 million. That's it. That's my final. I'm not. That's like seriously, like, I don't think Howie wanted to get rid of him at all. I think it was all HaasonReddick out of Philadelphia. That's what he wanted. And the Eagles, you can't keep a player that doesn't want to be here. Then he's gonna hold out. Then he's gonna be pissed off all year. I don't know. Who knows if he would have played? You know what I mean? Nifty 350 with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. He says, just got your opinion on Reddick trade. It was a shit trade. I gotta say, it was a bad trade, but for the reasons that go into it, I get that side of it. It was a crap trade because his productivity you're not going to get with anybody else in the league right now. Whether you move up in the first round, whether you trade for another edge rusher, you're not going to get the same amount, or you're not going to get the same results. Who knows? They could trade up for Jaden Verse. They could trade up for Dallas Turner. He might have a monster season. It could go either way. It can go either way. You know, we just have to wait and see. We just look at it and say, oh, Howie Roseman, how'd you do this? Like, I understand that 100%, but there's more to it than that. It's not just Howie Roseman giving him up for a 26 third round. 26, dude. 2 years we got to wait for a pick. Well, the pick will obviously the pick. We'll get the pick after this year, after the season's over with. Death Row Salvador, thank you so much, man. So the NFL in general is trying to get younger. They're pushing out all the older players. Could be. DT with the super, thank you so much. Says, what do we do at corner now? I don't know. Right now, all I know is right now at cornerback is that I think you're still empty at nickel. I think you don't have a nickel corner right now. I think potentially if they want to move Isaiah Rodgers to the inside, that's what they want to do, then perfectly fine. If that, because I know he has said he doesn't mind playing inside, but he's more of an outside cornerback. Okay. Bradbury is still here right now. He hasn't been moved. He hasn't been designated for a post-June cut. Nothing has happened. So right now, it looks like Bradbury is staying unless things change. Because Bradbury was successful with a pass rush. Bradbury was successful at cornerback. Okay? When Vic Fangio was here as a consultant. So I get the business side of it, but I also get too that you won't replace the production. But I have to look on the other side of it and say, okay, if you can't replace the production, then you have to get more of a scheme fit type guy. And they could find that in this draft. I mean, I guess it made it pretty obvious that they're going to go. They got no choice but to go in this draft and go get one of the top edge rush. I mean, they're going to have to at this point. You know what I mean? Appreciate the Superman. Eagle Buyback says, I don't know, this stinks. I think it just sucks because it's like it happened now. Like it. I know Eagle fans are gonna are pissed off, and I get that. Defensively, they're still going to have a good roster. Without Reddick, they're a good roster. But with Reddick, it's pushing where a guy like that, what he does in games, could push you from an NFC Championship game to a fucking Super Bowl. Like that's how big that move is. Bald Eagle Super Chat says Jets still have Rodgers in 25. That second is a low second. Well, that depends. Depends how they play. And I mean, yeah. So he's only on contract, so he won't be on contract in 20. Well, it really depends on what he does. It depends on what happens next year. Depends the record next year, their season, how it goes next year. It really depends on where that second's going to be in 26. So a 26 third round conditional, Reddick has to play over 67% of the snaps, and he needs to have 10 plus sacks. 10 sacks or more to get that second round pick from the Jets for 26. That's how it goes. Steven says Howie is definitely going O-line first round. I don't think so, bro. Why does this tell you that Howie's going offensive line? I don't think so. And if they do, then I'm not mad at it if they go offensive line. But if they let Reddick go and do nothing, if they just say, let's just add an undrafted free agent, let's just pick somebody off and let's just try to produce a project. Damn. Brandon Graham is getting old. He's a rotational guy. What is he going to do this year? He'll do some type of, he'll get some pressures this year, but you're not expecting anything crazy. Mon says Reddick was not going to touch that field making only 15. He wanted a new contract. It's simple. No, I mean, he wasn't going to get paid less than fucking Bryce Huff was. I mean, that definitely wasn't going to happen. We all knew that. Timothy Walker says, are there many edge rushers predicted to go in the first round? I'm guessing 4. maybe 4 guys. Nolan Smith shouldn't be an edge rusher, period. And in a scheme like this, he won't be on the edge. He'll be as an outside linebacker where he's more of a fit that way. Danny Bud said the Jets are taking on 4.5 million, the Eagles are taking on his 1 million. We have 14.5 more space now. I don't get it because Jets only had 2.3 million caps in space. I don't know. I don't know what their cap. I don't know what the Jets cap situation is. I don't follow the Jets and what they do, so I have no idea. Nermuggy said we could Chop Robinson. All I know is how he's stupid trading him for something that isn't this year. Yeah, I mean, at least if it was a pick for this year, then it would still suck. But at least I would feel like, hey, we have more draft compensation to do bigger things. But BMX absolutely rather pay Smitty 25. Reddick was my guy, but he was not worth that 20, maybe not 25. Youth is where we are at and going all the way to the bowl. With the old is holding us back, but still, yeah, I get it. Damn. Wally said more of what ifs on defense this year than last. Yeah, well, because there's more what ifs this year because you know you have somewhat of the same scheme that you're running, but the problem is like you've already had 4 different coordinators in 2 fucking years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not how you run it. That's on Nick Sirianni at the end of the day. Like, that's why I don't respect Nick. That's why I'm not big on Nick this year. That's why I'm not even like loving Nick or even praising him for 2 seconds. I'm not doing it because he really fucked up this team last year. It was his offensive game plan. He was the one that wanted to keep Gannon's system apparently in-house and just hired some fucking idiot to run it or be a puppet of it because obviously Sean doesn't know how to run a defense. Pisses me off. I blame Nick Sirianni for last year. He's the main reason. Main reason last year. He hired that fucking coaching staff last year. Cosmo Selma says six win team, Joey. Howie is an idiot. Howie made the defense. All right, I wouldn't go that chill. 6-win team, chill, dude. Like, you know you have an offense that's going to be pretty damn good this year, right? Like, are we forgetting that? Like, 6-win team. I think people are. I'm pissed about this, but Jesus Christ, 6-win team this year. That if you're a 6-win team this year, your offense isn't doing shit. Jesus. All right. Let's all agree. We're pissed off. Okay. We're all pissed off. We're all going to be going at each other. I get it. But 6-win team. Come on now. Joey is becoming Dan Cilia. Why? What am I saying that's wrong? Don't ever compare me to that fucking. Don't ever compare me to that guy. Why? How am I even doing that? What? I'm trying to make light of the situation. I'm not pissing on this whole thing. Ball with the super chat says Fangio, Bradbury, Huff, Rodgers, White, Nolan. Bradbury is going to be the interesting. See what happens with him. God, this sucks. As I said, it is what it is. I was hurt when we lost DJ McCoy. It's a business. Enjoy the Jets. Hassan, all love. Billy Walker says, great question. How much money do we gain cap? How Reddick is gone? I mean, I'm hoping 11 to 14 million dollars in cap space. That's what I'm hoping. The numbers haven't come out yet. That's what I'm kind of hoping. So There, let me see, Joey, with our fascination with edge rushers, does this move mean we'll try to get an edge at 1 or 2 when we have other important positions? We're gonna have to. We're gonna look at the end of the day. You're not gonna be able to cover every position you can. It's almost impossible. No team can get all the depth, all the starters. It's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna have an all pro at every fucking position because Eagle fans, want to get everybody at an all pro, especially free agency, just an all pro at every position. Okay. Cornerback, I think they're looking at Bradbury right now and saying that he was successful with, under Vic Fangio as a consultant with this defense. Add more of a pass rush and your corners will play really well this year. That's all I can really say. I don't know what else they're going to do. I honestly don't. Death Row South with Super Chat says Mohamed Kamara over Chop Robinson. I'd look, if they draft Chop, it's going to be I don't know if that's going to be the best pick. If they draft Chop and there's I'm not saying Dallas Turner will be on the board, but I really hope it's not Chop. If it's anybody else, fine. Chop, I'm just not interested at all. I've looked way too much into the tape. I'm sorry, but that's where I'm at right now. I think they do pick up Simmons. I think they're looking for another safety right now. Whether it's Blackman or it's going to be Justin Simmons. Those are really the only two that are available. Obviously, Blackman will be a lot cheaper. So we'll see. All the old super chat, thank you so much, man. It says those are all the guys that are what ifs. Rodgers hasn't played in a year. Why would the Jets let Huff go if he's so good? Bradbury is trash. White is eh. Well, they couldn't afford to pay him. That's why they had to pay him. And the Jets had interest in re-signing Huff, but not for that number. They weren't going to do it. Huff is part of a rotation. So that's where we're at, I think people look at the roster, they look at stats, and they're like, oh, I think Devin White's going to have a big year. I don't care what anybody says. I think, they signed, they obviously signed a couple, Zach Bond is a special teamer that has transitioned to be an off-ball linebacker, especially with the New Orleans Saints. Having Nakobe Dean hopefully healthy would be fucking nice for 1 year. And Devin White, I think, could be a big re-sign candidate after this year. I think Devin White is going to revive his career. He's wanted out from Tampa Bay the last couple seasons. He got hurt with a foot injury after the Eagles game in week 3. They never put him back in games. And that's the way it went. He hasn't lived up to the 4th, 5th overall pick. He's been a great playoff player, even under Tom Brady. When Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay for that 1 year, Devin White didn't really have a good regular season, but man, the playoffs, he just went off in the playoffs. But I think a new background, new scenery, new team, and just a new beginning for Devin White. I think one of the best. I think at linebacker, you have the most athletic linebacker that has experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs. He's got leadership. I mean, he's all around got what you want. Okay. Devin White, his best attribute is going after the quarterback. And that's why he's here. So I think his coverage has been subpar, but I think he's going to be very disruptive for this team. Okay. Appreciate the super chat, my friend. Bully, so Jets are going to pay Haas $25 a year over Huff. I don't know. So you get rid of Bryce Huff. You get rid of Bryce Huff and you sign HaasonReddick. I don't know if the deal's 25 plus. It might not be. It might be a little cheaper than that. You know, it might be a little cheaper than that. I don't think Reddick has gotten his number, but I think he's gotten it a few $1 million close. The Eagles offered Bryce Huff more money for less snaps and the production that he had. That's why the Jets didn't pay Bryce Huff that much money. They'd rather pay HaasonReddick more money because he just has more years and he has better statistics. That's just what it is. The guy's going to get paid more. That's all that is. The Eagles think that Bryce Huff is worth that much, and the Jets don't think he's worth that much. But with HaasonReddick, they think he's worth a lot more because that is a championship. That is a championship waiting to happen with a player like that. Okay? And that's how they look at it. That's why it makes complete sense on why they got rid of Bryce Huff and why they didn't pay him. They don't look at Bryce Huff as much money as the Eagles had him in for. They weren't going to pay that. But with HaasonReddick and what he could do and what he's done the last 4 fucking years, yeah, 100%. Jeremy says Fangio's scheme is awful. We saw it last year. Now the players this are even worse, and we doubled down on the shitty D. What do you think will happen? Worse than last year? No, I think it's going to be better. I think it's going to be much better. Fangio was a pretty good defensive coordinator for Miami. At least the one thing I know that he was top 3 in was pressures, and there's accountability, and he has control over his defense. And trust me, he will keep everybody accountable. Okay. This is the best. Fangio is the best guy to coach this scheme. And the Eagles have given him, and respect him, the Eagles have given him full control of this defense. Okay? I hate the scheme. I don't like it. Okay? I don't like it at all. But we got to give it a chance. You know? Got to give it a chance. If I want someone to run this scheme, I want the man himself that is well respected around the league and can run this scheme, and that is Vic Fangio. You have the number one thing they've been hiring coaching staff-wise, from coordinators to assistant coaches, that Kellen Moore and Fangio have hired, okay, is experience. They have hired experienced coaches all around, and that's what we needed. And that's what we have. Young boy Jesse, I don't know about you, Joey, and everyone in the chat, but I'm not comfortable with these corners with Slay and Bradbury. Now we're losing Reddick. Yeah, I mean, Slay, I don't like his attitude towards the game, especially what he said on his podcast a couple times last year. I'm not really a big fan of Slay after the shit that he said last year. But I will say, when he's used the right way, he does produce. But who played good on this defense last year? Nobody did. HaasonReddick didn't do shit. HaasonReddick didn't do shit at the end of the year last year. I hate when people say that. It's like, dude, who did play well at the end of it? Name me one defensive lineman that played well. And I would probably say Fletcher Cox was the best defensive lineman at the end of the year. And Moro Jomo. That's how bad we played last year. The last 7 weeks. Who showed up at the last 7 weeks? Besides those 2 guys, really? Nobody did. Everybody hit a wall. Jalen Carter hit a wall. Everybody did. So the people that say that Reddick wasn't good last year, or the people that say he didn't play at the, like, dude, what they didn't run stunts. They didn't play their linebackers downhill. They made no adjustments. They were not tough. They weren't tough-minded. They were soft bitches last year. That whole defense. The whole defense, not just one guy. They were done. Mentally, they were done last year. Once you hit that mark of being done and no adjustments are made defensively, you switch defensive coordinators during the year. I know Slay hated it. I know Sidney Brown talked about it. And the practices were too soft, and they weren't. I mean, seriously, there's so much more that goes into it than, just Reddick just played like shit. Like, you know what these guys had to deal with the whole year last year? It was a fucking mess. It was a complete fucking mess. That's why I hate when people say that shit. It fucking irks me when people are like, oh, well, Reddick didn't do shit last year. But he still had double-digit sacks last year. And they all disappeared. Everybody disappeared. Nobody was in it last year. But no one realizes. The casual just watching a game and just saying, oh, well, he sucks. You know, I can't stand that shit. So it's so annoying. You don't have to be a fucking brain surgeon to figure out, okay? You don't have to be a brainiac to figure out like these guys literally just lost their fucking way. That's it. And we're acting as if like, seriously, I'm going to knock on wood, but we're acting as if like something happened to a very important player to our team that had a serious injury or something. Like that's how we're acting right now. This was shitty, but this is not shitty on Howie's part. This is shitty on Reddick's part, but Reddick deserves to get paid. So it's like, I'm happy for him. I'm not happy because he should be with us and we should be competing for a Super Bowl. Is it the end of the world? No. Is the season over? No. Did it cause a weakness at a position? Yes. But it's not the end of the world. We still have a draft. We still have, yes, you're not going to replace the production, but if Fangio is going to get more out of a player out of a scheme fit, then that's where we have to go. His trade value is dog shit. There wasn't any trade value. Howie Roseman held off a pretty long time to get something done. If something was going to get done. It's not the end of the season, though. It doesn't mean we still can't compete for a championship. Like, people need to, like, see what happens. I don't know what they're going to do. If Reddick is going to get, do you want Reddick here? And, like, look, seriously, I get both sides to it. I'm pissed off, but I get it because are you going to pay HaasonReddick 25, let's just say it is $25+ million a year to be in coverage most of the year at a price where he probably won't have those numbers, but to trade him somewhere else where he will fit better in a more aggressive scheme and get a bigger draft choice. And 26 draft choice sucks. 2 years from now, who cares about that? For right now, who cares? Like, Reddick, it takes more than one player. I get it. Reddick's production is his production, but I don't want it to overtake like, oh, our defense is going to I don't think our defense is going to be like completely suck because he's not here, but you got to see how he rebounds off of this. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he gets paid for. You make really hard fucking decisions. We lost out on Reddick not because of Howie. We lost out on Reddick because of Reddick. Blame him. Don't blame Howie. Eagles have cap space. Eagles have great cap space. Eagles have draft picks. Trust me, anything could happen in this draft. Anything could happen in this draft. You know what I mean? I absolutely get it. I get it. I totally get it. We gotta see what the next move is now. There's cap space is not so great when all good free agents are gone. Well, you know, cap space, well, it doesn't matter. You can make trades for players. You could still trade for a player still. You could trade for a player and pay them. You could... Yeah, cap space is very, very good at this time because you could make trades. Howie has done it before. Okay? Just know they're not going to pay somebody over $20 million unless it's Devontae Smith. That's it. I mean, that's really it right now. That's where we're at right now. Oh, Nate says, I'm glad to see some Eagle fans with voice of reason. The sky's not falling. Relax. No, it's not. Like, it's not falling. It's just, it's shitty, but it's not falling. Like, You know, like, oh, we're horrible. We're gonna win 6 games. Like, people need to chill the fuck out. Like, chill out. We got 86 in the chat now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want Eagles news every single day. We're gonna be live streaming tomorrow again to talk about this, probably, because now this is gonna be the main thing now that we talk about and why it's happening, and maybe we'll find out more news behind what went on during this trade. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the stream as well. I do appreciate it so much. Check out the memberships for draft content, all the extra stuff that you get in the pinned comment above in the chat. Definitely join up. Doesn't matter what tier, you get all the content, and it's just for good support as well. So I thank you so much. That's all I gotta say. I mean, we're in the spot that we're in right now. You know, I didn't think it was gonna happen. It happened. It happened. Got to be a move. If the Eagles didn't have Bryce Huff, and you know, if they didn't have Bryce Huff, it would make it obviously a lot worse. But the young guys, and Bang Bang Burgang just said it. Young guys have to step up. Okay, young guys have to step up. That's what they're trying to build around Jordan Davis, build around Jalen Carter. They're trying to, and Howie Roseman has talked about this. They are going to build around their young guys. We are stepping up now. There's no Fletcher Cox anymore. Brandon Graham is here for one more year. Like, you know, Jason Kelsey's going. Like, we have to start building around our young players now. And sometimes these moves have to happen. It sucks. It's just part of the business, and it is what it is. It's just what it is, man. It's shitty, but is it shitty? Yeah, it's horrible. I hate it. I like HaasonReddick so much. It just sucks. But good things have got to happen, man. Good things have got to happen. It's for the day with Super Chat. Thank you so much, man. It says so no corner first because we need that one 100%. Like I'm saying, they might stay in-house at cornerback if they don't get one in the first round. They might draft Ennis Rakestraw in the second round. They could, because he'll be a second-round pick this year. I think he fits really well with the scheme. Play man, could play zone, physical player. But it wouldn't shock me if Bradbury stays, and I don't know what they're doing at nickel, because Tyler Hall got signed, but I don't know if he's promising. You know, you know what I mean? Isaiah, if Bradbury does get moved, they might go in-house. I mean, Isaiah Rodgers is a really good cornerback. You know, he could be an outside guy this year for the Eagles. That's more of a scheme fit. Rodgers was a good corner. I mean, Rodgers, the only bad thing about Isaiah Rodgers, he hasn't played in a year. And that's really the only bad thing about it. But he's been working his tail off all season, all year long, really. You know? That's where we're at right now. Jackson's defense still can't be as bad as last year, so not a horrible thing we lost. Right? Like I said, it's not the end of the world, but I don't think the defense is going to be worse than last year. I think getting Chauncey back, signing Devin White, getting Bryce Huff here, and really unleashing him, I think I think the defense is going to be up to par. I think we're going to be fine. You know, you can't cover every position. You can't have perfect depth for every position. It's just you can only do so much in one off season. Okay. Only do so much. And sometimes these things happen, you know, like if like the Eagles, I didn't want the Eagles to sign Reddick to all that big money. I wanted him to take a 1-year restructure, and that was it. You know? Billy Pay says 66 million cap space 25. I mean, I read it was like almost $50 million for next year. So There should be good cap space for next year for the Eagles. That the super chat says Jordan Davis is a blimp. He's another guy working at him and Milton Williams. I saw a video of them working out together the other day. I know Chauncey's working his ass off. A lot of guys are putting in the work this offseason. So I know guys are pissed off. I get it. It sucks. It sucks. You never know, man. Like they might, even though if they might not get a premier edge rush. If they get a premier edge rusher in this draft, who knows what could happen? You can have a 6-sack season. He might have a double-digit sack season. I don't know. I mean, anything could happen. We might be shocked over it. We might be like, holy shit, man! Like this worked out for us. We just have to wait and see what they do. Like if they let this thing go and they do nothing, that's really going to be bad. That's not how you do it. But they've already brought in Latu. They brought in Chop Robinson on pre-draft visits. But they have to get an authority on edge rusher this year, on top of what you have on the other side and your pass rush. Okay, I think you'll be set. Like you say, you're replacing production, which you can't replace, because the Eagles didn't replace the production with Javon Hargrave going. Okay, but I didn't see people bitching about it. Javon Hargrave and they draft Jalen Carter. No one said a fucking word about it. No one said a word about Jalen Carter taking over for Hargrave on this defensive line. No one said a word about it at all. I didn't hear none of this, that the season was over. I didn't hear none of that last year. Because Reddick has been so productive like every single year, 4 years. I mean, double-digit sacks with 3 different teams. Like, there's guys that just don't do that. He's like the third or fourth player to do that? I mean, in NFL history? I mean, that's unheard of. If Reddick was a little bit younger, they probably would have had a second-round pick this year. So that's how I think of it. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to force myself to think in another way. Like, this sucks. It does suck, like, horribly. That's where I'm at. Suo says, hot take, Ringo will be our number 2 corner this year. Yeah, we'll see, dude. Like, I feel like they've shown a lot of flash. I don't think we've seen enough from Keely Ringo. I don't think we've seen enough from Eli Ricks. I think Ringo is way ahead of a lot of them. But I think maybe not this year, maybe going into after Slay leaves, he could be the potential number 2. Maybe. I'm just going to say maybe. I'm not going to promise anything. But I think the first 2 games he started for Matt Patricia, I thought he actually played really well. So, but we'll see, man. It all takes time. Jeremy says, yes, I'm negative when it warrants it. Eagles D scheme is awful. Sorry, I'm not like you and all the Cowboy fans. Huh? Okay. No. In life, sometimes you have to accept change, and if you can't move on from it, then I guess that's your problem then. That's a first. That's a first. Oh, we're Cowboy fans now because we're Cowboy fans because we didn't want to pay Reddick $25+ million at fucking 30 years old. Excuse me. One pieces I can see Bond and be a Van Ginkel 2.0. I don't know what. Look, I think Bond had some late success with the Saints last year as an off-ball linebacker. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what he does. Nifty says, but the super chat says, hoping the scheme protects Sadberry this year. And I think that's how they look at it too. Not to protect him, but I feel like when they have a pass rush, he just plays better. I don't know, because it's hard to compare last year because the coaching was that bad last year. How do you analyze your roster at the end of the year by the way you were coaching these guys? Like, how are you supposed to? Seriously, I don't know. Tried to Integrity says Haas really wanted that money. Very surprised he wouldn't meet us halfway. Like that's where I'm like, wow, over the situation. Yeah, I mean that's where we're at, dude. That's where we're at. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, don't be mad at Howie Roseman. You know what I mean? Like, don't be mad at Howie. It's like I feel like he didn't want to budge from that number. Jeremy says I was making the comment. Oh, I thought you meant I can't tell who's talking to me, who's not talking to me, but I accept that. I'm like, dude, why is this guy calling me a Cowboys fan? What did I do? Why am I delusional? Sorry about that, Jeremy, but I thought you were talking to me. Like, why did I deserve that? What did I do? Bald Eagle Super Chat says sign Yannick for cheap, trade for Judon, but 30 plus. Yeah, I don't know if they're going. I don't think they're going to trade for. I mean, if they're going to keep Reddick, if they're going to keep Reddick on his current deal this year at 14 million, whatever it was, do they make another move? I don't know. I don't think it has nothing to do with his age. Well, I don't think they even minded even Reddick even staying where he, it's just he just wanted, like, man, like he must have. I can't wait to see what this fucking contract looks like. I'm actually pumped to see what it looks like. Says no way I'm dating on a first round edge. We already spent a first on Nolan. Yeah, but Nolan wasn't a high first round pick. Nolan wasn't a high first rounder, and he was unfortunately he wasn't. He was out of scheme. He was out of scheme. He shouldn't have been an edge rusher, unfortunately, because I think he needs to bulk up more. Unfortunately, like I think he's going to be his athleticism. What they should do with him is definitely more as an outside linebacker. But I know for a fact that Fangio has got him heavily in the plans for this defense. That's 100% truth. But this is sign Yannick for cheap, trade for Judon. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So anybody else that's available right now, like Yannick's 30 years old, Judon, if you want to trade for him, he's you know what I mean. So you're down to like they might have to go edge rusher, man. Umbrella Mania says bad move. I would have let Sweat go and keep us on. Philly boy had 10 plus sacks every year. Not to mention he's years older than Sweat, being 27, Hassan being 29. Yeah, I get it, but it comes down to like how long has Reddick not been able to meet halfway with the Eagles on a deal on money? If they couldn't even meet halfway, then HaasonReddick has really just wanted the money and not really given a shit about anything else. I mean, that's how I look at it now. Because the Jets aren't going anywhere. That's just money for him. Jets suck. The Jets aren't going anywhere. I know that. We all know this. Yannick can't stop the run. You guys need to stop with they can't stop the run bullshit. I mean, you act like defensive ends get paid to fucking stop the run. It's the most. I mean, seriously, like, you guys know why ends get paid? They don't get paid to stop the run. Reddick couldn't stop the run. I mean, seriously, like Bryce Huff cannot stop the run either. You pay these guys to go after the quarterback. That's what you pay them to do. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. What's with those statements on that? Like, that's not why they get paid. BMX says it just sucks the way 2 years to pick would have loved it. Now at least next year, 26, is asked how he has to make this and pick it makes sense. Trust he will. Howie World. Right, he says the season's a joke. Don't buy in. We going full like last season. Howie Roseman doing it again. Well, what did he? Well, I mean, doing it again. What does that mean, though? Like, what did he? What did he do? I mean, doing it again. What did he do before? Like, what did he do before? I don't like Howie didn't coach this fucking team last year. Like, I don't get it. I don't think Howie Roseman had a great offseason. I mean, Howie Roseman had an okay offseason last year, but I don't think he picked up really much impactful free agents. Plus, the Eagles really weren't dripping in cap space last year. You know? Brandon said, sad month ago, Hassan wasn't a fit for Vic's scheme. He would have ended up with a third of a half of his snaps and a 3-4 lined up on a guard getting bulldozed. It is what it is. Price says, well, me might as well go full off season now and let younglings take. I think they're putting more on the young guys. I think they want to draft. They want to get younger on defense. You know what I mean? The better you draft, the less you have to spend on players. You know, you'll have more time to, you'll have more money for other things. But they need to. That's where they're gonna go. If Reddick was being this stubborn, then that's what he was, guys, and it's all his fault. That's all it is. That's all it is. He deserves. No, he does, and I don't question him deserving it or not deserving it. It just comes down to these conversations. These conversations were going on for weeks. The Eagles weren't getting what they wanted. Hassan wasn't getting what they wanted, and you know what? The Eagles just said, you know what? If Reddick doesn't want to be here, then we just have to. We're gonna have to do something. So the only thing they could do is turn a third-round pick into a third-round conditional to at least try to get a bigger pick in a couple years. What bothers me is that was there that much not? There was no fucking. There was really. They couldn't even get a fucking pick. I mean, there was no value for Reddick. There was value for Reddick, but not for a second rounder. Not even. I mean, you couldn't even get a third-round pick for this year. I mean, that's how. Nobody wanted to give that up for Reddick. Nobody wanted to give up that for Reddick. Josh said, if some of you think the season is already done, don't follow and don't watch. That's what I say, dude. You know? Ken says, big loss for y'all Eagles. Reddick, Cox, Sweat are all gone. Well, Sweat's not gone. Sweat's still here. Fletcher Cox was a rotational DT last year. I don't know. That's a bad troll job, number one. If you're a Cowboys fan, please just leave the room. I mean, seriously. At least the Eagles make moves, and they still have a draft. So let's be real here. Guys said Aaron Rodgers wants to be vice president more than NFL QB. That's. Chris says Ken James Sweat is still here. These are idiots. These are 15-year-old boys that think they know what's going on. They don't even know the Eagles roster, right? Who likes Cox in here? But yeah, I can't blame Howard for training for Pickett because he was trying to go after Flacco. He went to the Colts and he went after Fields, but he wanted to be a Steeler. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. I think their price was too high on Fields as well. I think the price was way too high, fortunately. But yeah, other than that, guys, I mean, that's it. It's already enough. We're making sure that Nick Sirianni's not going to get involved in this fucking playbook next year. We're already got many concerns. And another concern is I don't want to feel like they're going to just get rid of Reddick and they're going to do nothing to replace it, or at least nothing to add at least the most you could do is add a first round talent or trade for another edge rusher that's needing a new deal or something. I don't know. Free agency market is dry. Trades you can always do. So, how many times in videos throughout the fucking weeks did I say, whatever happens to HaasonReddick is going to designate what we do in this draft? I'm telling you, it changed everything. This changes everything that they do in this draft. No, I don't know. The Eagles will have over $40 million in cap space. There's no doubt. They have good amount. They have a nice. They can make a move or two with that money, but it depends on what they want to do. They don't have to do anything. They can keep that cap and just save it for next year. Don't worry about Devontae Smith. He'll get signed. It's going to happen. And from the rumors that happened last week with Devontae Smith and his camp, the rumors were that everything is perfectly fine right now. They're working on getting something done. So I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about it. So 45 million, even better. We've estimated 66 million cap space in 25. Yeah, they're going to have good cap for next year. I know they're going to have like 50 million next year, but maybe it went up because of the cap increase or something. I don't know. But $66 million, that's even more, so they got to win it. They got to win a bowl this year, though. They really do. If they can win a Super Bowl this year and then go into a next offseason with $66 million in cap space or over 50 million, whatever the number is, it'd be fucking fantastic. Fantastic. Maurice Steele with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. It says, Joey, I really believe that Howie has something up his sleeve. I do too. I don't. You don't just look. The Eagles had to do what they had to do because Reddick doesn't want to be here, and he doesn't. They couldn't meet in the middle at a number that's really bad. That means Reddick was being real stubborn. So I told you guys when breaking news happened earlier when I did a stream, I said I'll be on. I had, girlfriend texted me and was like, Reddick got traded. I said, what? Motherfucker, what? I'm taking a fucking nap. Don't fuck with me right now. I'm taking a nap. Do not fuck with me at all. But it was true. Oh, man. I'm trying to be real positive. And it's like I said, it's not Howie Roseman. If Reddick didn't want to be here, then it's on HaasonReddick. I mean, it's where it is. It's where we're at, dude. Ah, man. Man. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna head out. We'll have videos out tomorrow. We'll have another stream tomorrow. So if you guys want to join up tomorrow, I'll be here. Definitely subscribe to channel 226. We just hit over 28,000 subscribers, so I appreciate everybody that's been supporting. Appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate everything. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll be around. Like up the stream too if you guys have not. I know no one's really that excited today, but definitely like it up if you guys haven't. Try to get to 200 likes if we can. But all right, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Shake squat up, Floggles fly. Peace out, guys. Peace out.